Greetings and salivations. Welcome to the Rogue Cook. Today we're going to take a look at three different styles of all-purpose knives. We're going to do a little cost comparison, look at some basic knife technique handling, and finish up with a little bit of basic maintenance. Starting out, we have the chef's knife, a all-purpose French design. This is not a vegetable knife. It is an all-purpose knife. To simply write it off as a vegetable knife is to do it a great disservice. Secondly, we have Suntoku. Suntoku is probably Korean design, although it is claimed by Japanese, but much of the Japanese culture, especially food culture, comes from Korean influence. Examples would be sushi, sake, sashimi. These are all Korean. Then lastly, we have a basic cleaver. A lot of people may not think that a cleaver is an all-purpose knife. It's designed for cleaving. If you have a articulation or a joint in, say, like a chicken wing, the cleaver, because of its hafted size, would go in the gap between the two joints, and you would push down and cleave those joints apart. That's the general design of it. But these are all-purpose knives. Biggest difference between the chef's knife and the Suntoku, the chef's knife is pointed. You can get into tight areas, you can do small little dicings and stuff. I don't find it that it's that big a deal, but that's a personal choice. It's up to you. The difference between that and the Suntoku has the rolled tip. Now, if you're going to use a chef's knife for undercutting, let's say I have an onion, and I want to do slices with that onion from underneath, it's possible to take that point and put that point into the palm of your hand. Guilty as charged. The Suntoku, with its rounded tip, rolls off that palm. So if you're doing an undercut and you slip, then it rolls off. It's got an extra safety factor. The Suntoku also has blood rails. Alright, these are designed to break the vacuum when something adheres to it, say a potato. It's wet, it's starchy, you're slicing away, it sticks to it. That's the idea. The blood rails on a Suntoku are too short, too shallow. When you're cutting something, it covers them, rendering them basically useless. I think it's more of a cosmetic thing or a marketing ploy. Alright, little cost differences. This Suntoku is my personal one. It's made by Wüsthof, German knife makers, arguably one of the finest in the world. I've carried it for 16 years. As you see, it looks virtually brand new, and that's one of the beauties of maintaining properly. It retails today's market probably $200, $250. This is my brother's Suntoku. It's made by Faberware. He bought it at Walmart for $7. Which one's better? Properly maintained, there's no difference. I think everybody in the world just freaked out. Really, you can see knives. I mean, you go, this is a $5 cleaver I got at a Hong Kong store. You can go to the stores like that, and you can see similar cleavers where the metal's like gray and it's pitted, and you can look at it and you can tell it's nasty. It's still a good knife. I mean, you can still work it up and make it work, but the bottom line here is maintenance. If your metals are maintained, your metals will cut fine. Alright, let's look at a couple of techniques. Most knives are supposed to have their balance point just in front of the handle or the hilt. And to properly hold your knife, you take your first finger and your thumb and you put it on either side of the blade. And hold the handle loosely, lightly. These are extensions of your hand, and they're delicate tools. The reason we do this, as I said, it becomes an extension of the arm. It becomes one with it. Also, when you're using it, you're putting your body pretty much over the center of balance, and this helps you ergonomically. Now, I primarily cook offshore, remote locations. On my job, my days are 12 to 16 hours long, 7 days a week for months on end. And a big part of what I do is chopping, slicing, dicing. If I wasn't holding it properly and holding it lightly, my arm would fall off. I mean, it will wear you out. Okay. I'm out of celery, so we'll use an apple. So when you're using your knife, what you want to do, don't worry, it'll be my lunch. Take your little finger and your thumb, either side of what you're cutting. Roll your 3 fingers in like this. Make sure that that little finger and thumb stay behind these 3 fingers. These 3 fingers become the stop for your knife. Alright? So I can basically slice like this and look right at the camera. Yeah, an overhand technique would have kept this thing from falling apart. Turn it around. Hold the same way. Little finger, thumb, 3 fingers. All right. Again, I can do this all day long looking at the camera. I most definitely do not recommend that. Keep your eyes on your work. Point is, though, that you can. All right. So, let's conclude with a little bit of knife maintenance. This is a honing steel. It does not sharpen. You can tell because the shaft is round. There are steels with an oval shaft and a gray powder on them. Those are diamond steels. A diamond steel will sharpen. A honing steel does not sharpen, it hones. As you use your knife, this is the edge. As you use it normally, the edge will roll out or roll over, and it will burr. What this does is it takes the burrs off the blade and rolls that roll back center if used properly. I am sure you've seen fancy chefs, maybe on TV or a restaurant, doing. Don't pay attention to them. They're either show-offs or fools, and probably a little bit of both, and you can quote me on that. All right. To properly use a steel, don't do that. Like this. Now, when you get comfortable with it, a lot of people will steal like this. That's fine. Just not my thing. I'm not comfortable like that. Hold your steel upright to learn how to use it. I generally lean it back, kind of point it towards your nose a little bit. What you want to do is act like you are slicing a piece off the steel. The edge of a knife, depending on what kind of knife and what it's used for, is anywhere from about 14 degrees to about 24 degrees. Don't burn your brain with that. Focus on just being natural with it. Everybody's angle is a little bit different. You want to get comfortable with using your angle the same way every time. So you slice. 1, lightly. Back and forth. That's 1 pass. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 passes on your steel, no more. Any more than that and you begin to dull your knife out. Okay. Steels are very, very cost efficient. I think they run about $30 a piece. That one happens to be a Wusthof. I'm just a fan of the company. Again, get one for Walmart for a few bucks and give it a try. All right. The next thing is something that a lot of cooks don't use. I am actually quite new to it and love it. This is what's known as a strop. S-T-R-O-P. You may have seen such things in movies. Barbers would hang them on the side of their barber chair. It looked like a long leather belt, and they take their straight razors and do that. Maybe there's still some barbers today that do it. I don't know. This particular strop is made by Lavoda. I'm very happy with it. It works wonderfully. One side of the strop is like the inside of cowhide, so it's a little bit rough. The other side, I'm backwards. No, the other side is the other side of the hide, and it's very smooth. Okay, these come with compounds, like a rubbing compound, a polishing compound. The white one is a half micron. The green one is I got that backwards. The white one's a full micron. The green one's a half micron. The literature that came with this is very thorough, but basically the bottom line is where there's a lot of rules for your hone, not so many with the strop. The strop is going to polish the edge. Just take a good edge and make it better. So they didn't really say to cover it. Basically they said you can use the resins or not. So this is what I've done. I take the heavier of the two and I put it up here. That's the full micron, and then the half micron's down here. A little goes a long way. The only thing to really remember with a strop is where a steel and a sharpening stone, you're taking edge in. All right. If you do that here, you're going to cut that hide, so you have to pull away. All right. Where you need 6 on the steel, you don't need this here, but I tend to do that to keep everything in a consistency. I'll run on my whetstones, I'll run 6 passes, and I'll do that here as well because I know I have to on the steel. So if I keep that continuity, then I don't make mistakes as much. But there again, personal choice. You can polish here all day long if you like. So let's just do the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then on to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And lightly. Whenever you're working with a fine edge, the finer it is, the lighter you hold it. And then on the other side where there's no resins, and you can use them here if you want. I choose not to. This is the final one. This is the nice smooth leather, and I'm going the full distance. You can actually see that edge. It's beautiful. Where's my, I forgot to bring a piece of paper. Well, let's see what it does with another piece of apple. I'm sure, but the knife was sharp before I started, so I don't expect any great differences, but you never know. Still, I mean, it's a dream. And again, with the holding technique, up here, there, and you can either slide your hand backwards or you can push the product forward. I generally kind of slide my hands backwards, but you know, it's a personal thing. Yeah, I can feel that's even a little smoother there. Well, I guess I'll be making applesauce today. All right then. That's a little bit about basic knives. French style, Suntoku, cleaver. And as we do more shows, you'll see me use these in different fashions, and as I remember, I'll try to explain. That's it for now. Thank you very much for visiting, and hope to see you next time on The Rogue Cook.